with us for today. This is the first event that we are hosting as a physical activity as African Pharmaceutical Network. So African Pharmaceutical Network is what I'm supposed to introduce from the guidance from my colleague Kelvin. And just to give a brief background, African Pharmaceutical Network was conceptualized in 2020. 2020 March, we had COVID ravaging the world. And as much as every intervention, every action was being taken, we all knew that the main concern, the main challenge that people were talking about is, are we going to have the adequate quantities and supplies of the diagnostics in Africa specifically? Then beyond the diagnostics, we went to looking at therapeutics. What medicines, what vaccines would we have from a vaccination standpoint that would help us in containing the impact of COVID-19 and all that. But as much as all that conversation and all that talk was happening, in Africa, it was taking a direction, a trajectory of its own. And that trajectory had a lapse in some aspects. And that is why we are like, how is it that pharmaceutical practitioners, people working in the pharma industry, whether pharmacists or not pharmacists, whether in the pharma industry, in the development world, people who are working in the pharmaceutical sector were not leading the conversation. And then reflecting on that, there have been conversations about how do we strengthen pharmaceutical systems in Africa. And on that note, in 2005, there was the inception of the Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Plan for Africa. Then from the Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Plan for Africa, we moved a step further, and the business plan for that was rolled out in 2009. Then 2012, Africa Medicines Regulatory Harmonization, the first conversation started. As much as these conversations are happening, there's need to ensure that we have a working pharma industry in Africa, but for that to happen, we need the people driving that conversation, the people who are part of the intervention, leading the conversation, leading the need for investment. And in that scoping of what was needed to strengthen the pharmaceutical industry in Africa, there was human workforce. Limited in numbers, but also limited in competencies and training. Therefore, there's need to invest in training, and there's also need in that training to get more people skilled and equipped, so that we have the professionals who are going to deliver the aspiration of a robust pharmaceutical industry in Africa. Then beyond the people who are going to do the work, there is need for them to find meaningful, gainful employment where they're applying their skills and knowledge in making the change that needs to happen. If you have a pharmaceutical specialist scientist, a research and development specialist, but there's no industry to apply that skill, that knowledge will be of no use. But the only reason as to why we'll have industries coming into our space is when we have enabling business environment, enabling policies, and those are critical. And those enabling business environment and policies have additional supporting frameworks. How do we get financing in the pharmaceutical value chain? How do we get the additional technological support system, the tech transfer that we're talking about in the Africa pharmaceutical landscape? It would be driven by the locals understanding what are the gaps, what are the needs, and for those needs to be addressed, we need to have a deliberate, strategic, and honest conversation on how to make that move be attained. And on that note then, Africa Pharmaceutical Network was conceptualized and as an idea as a platform. And that platform would bring together pharmaceutical industry professionals and stakeholders. And when I talk about industry, it's not the pharmaceutical manufacturing side only. The pharmaceutical sector, from the research and development in the bench, to the production line in the industry, to the marketing teams, to the patient at the pharmaceutical level, at the hospital level. Because our ultimate aim is to ensure that that patient who is me and you, that patient who is your brother, who is your mother, who is your sister, has the guarantee that in every hospital they go to, they'll get the right quality medicines, an affordable way, and reliably. Not that today I'll get medicine A, tomorrow when I'm going for a refill of my medication, it is not there anymore. Or I'm not guaranteed of the quality of what that medicine would be. So that is the platform that we came up with. And as you can see in terms of what we have on the banner here, as a membership platform, the key contributing factors and the key drivers that we can achieve, we can deliver on. One, knowledge sharing, that is the capacity building. We have a series of trainings, we have partnership with other institutions. The key is, can we build capability in ourselves? Can we train? And currently there's one training that is actually has been ongoing. We had cohort one, some of the participants are here, on regulatory affairs. So as a transition from the training into practice, can you get to network with professionals? Can you get to see what possibilities are out there for you as a regulatory affairs professional? So that is one of the trainings, and it's based on the need and actually the challenges that we encountered with some of the people we started with. Getting into regulatory affairs, you don't know what you're going to do, what are the lessons that are being trained. The training itself does not equip you those skills. So that was the bridge that we needed to close. So that is where we had the training. But the training in-house, external partner-driven and supported trainings, but also networking engagements and knowledge-sharing platforms where we have bi-weekly webinars, the pharmaceutical system strengthening in Africa, webinars that are being facilitated. We have different guest speakers talking about different topics that are of essence and essential for the pharmaceutical sector in Africa. Then we have other ad hoc programs and training, but also these engagements where you get to meet people, get to understand what are they doing in their space, how can you learn from them, what can you do better in your own space, which is critical for us. Then after the knowledge sharing and the capacity building aspect, how do we then move from the knowledge to doing the business? That is where the business support is an integral component. And when you talk about business support is, what new ideas can we conceptualize? What new ideas can we try? And as you're trying that new idea, it means you have an opportunity to apply your skill somewhere. There are people who are coming in, let's say for example, from market intelligence. Every pharma company needs market intelligence. If we are able to conceptualize an idea, and as industry members we're able to contribute to that, we're offering the support to the companies, but you're also getting a platform to offer your knowledge and insight to ensure that you're contributing. Regulatory affairs, we have consultants who are working in the regulatory affairs space. How can you venture into that space? How can you use APN as a platform to launch your professional career into the future that you aspire for, that you envision? And that is what we look at it in terms of business support. Then beyond doing training, doing the business support and actually having the best practices and the best models of what we envision, the next thing is, can we ensure that these are sustainable? Sustainability does not happen unless it is grounded on, anchored, and actually part of the policies and the legal frameworks. And that is what we are hoping for. So how do we do that? Can we shape policies? What is our policy shaping perspective? Even in this particular forum, there are people who engage at policy level. If there's a challenge that you're experiencing somewhere and you see it here, then go back home thinking about it and asking themselves, how can we ensure that the policies are more enabling? The policies are more robust in a particular way. The current discussion, Kenya Drug Authority bill is already in Parliament. What changes will be there? By this conversation, new ideas are coming in, they're being seeded, we are moving towards ensuring that the aspiration, what we envision for the future of the industry would come into real practical insight from what we are doing, but then it's now being anchored in policies for sustainability. So that if I'm getting medicines today, I'm guaranteed that my children 20 years from now will still be able to get quality medicines in a reliable way and in an efficient way, probably more affordable. And it doesn't have to depend on developments in the Western world. We rely on that at the moment, but how can we see development in our local space? And that is what we are hoping for, that is what we are aspiring for. And the reality is, it doesn't start if we are not here. It starts with me and you committing to walk the journey together. It starts with you and me committing to learn so that we know what needs to happen. Then after learning, applying that knowledge and sharing those best practices as we move to the future that we aspire for. And that is what we are working on as APN. And my call to you is, join us in the journey, let us work together, and let's make pharmaceutical sector in Africa stronger to ensure that every patient has reliable access, safe, effective, quality medicine in an affordable way. Because they know that you are where you are, doing the best you can to ensure that is guaranteed. Thank you so much.